preacher man. The only boy who could ever teach me was the son of a preacher man. Yes, he was. He was. Yes, he was.
So Preacher episode 5 is titled South Will Rise Again. We got to see some more from the cowboy, or also known as the Saint of all killers. Sheriff Root finally shows his true colors. And Jackie Earle Haley's Odin Quincannon might not be completely saved. So what did you think about episode 5?
The opening was really weird. We don't know who the guy is at all. That's kind of like the old cowboy, and he's going to save his family or something or another. I don't know how he plays in, but...
The opening sequence is kind of like the best part and the worst part. Because like everybody that's read the comics knows that it's the Saint of all killers is who this cowboy is. He's just like this unstoppable force that heaven will enlist once in a while to take somebody out. And so they're kind of showing, I guess, his origins. So he's on the way to get this medicine or some kind of a cure for his wife and daughter. Stops in this town called Ratwater. Sees a few things that he's not too fond of. Ends up trying to stop it. Gets beat up. Gets his horse shot. Doesn't make it back to his family. And then the last we see of him, he's loading up all his weapons. Heading out to do some justice of his own. Now, the problem that they're really screwing up here is that anybody who hasn't read the comics, like you, has no fucking idea what this guy is.
Yeah, I'm completely lost when we see him, because we saw him in a previous episode for a short little cameo, but we're not quite sure.
Yeah, they're not really connecting it to the main story, so everybody's just kind of waiting around. They're probably going to end up tying it in all the way at the last episode, probably. They're probably saving that for. But until then, everybody just, whenever they start with this guy, nobody understands what the hell's going on. Mm-hmm. So this episode finds after Jesse is kind of turned Odin Quincannon into a god follower, he is kind of a rock star around town. He's using his powers left and right. Everybody loves him. More and more people come into his church. And one of the people that he enlists some of his powers for is Arseface, or he's Eugene is what they call him in the show all the time. Mm-hmm. So he's getting bullied still. Somebody wrote some graffiti on his wall telling him to finish the job. And then his dad, Sheriff Root, finally shows his angry, belligerent side like he is in the comics and just screams at him and tells him to finish the job. So Arseface is one of those characters that you didn't expect would probably be the one that you kind of tug on your heartstrings, but it seems like every episode you really care for him.
Yeah, I found myself rooting for him, because it's just like, poor kid's gone through a lot. I don't know what he did. Obviously it was something for him to have to try to blow his head off, but then after that he tries to I guess kind of ask for forgiveness, and he's really upset that God's not forgiving him or whatever. He doesn't feel like he is, and so you got a lot of that going on as far as him going back and forth to the preacher, and the preacher praying for him and talking with him and stuff. So yeah, he's definitely tugged on my heartstrings. I'm like, oh, poor guy.
Well, this one, so he goes and he tells the preacher that he wants even after his dad screams at him and says that horrible stuff to him, he wants the preacher to help his dad. And the preacher takes him to this woman's house where the catatonic girl that he made open her eyes lives there. So obviously something that he did put her in that state. Because as soon as the mom sees Eugene, she starts screaming and beating up the car. And then preacher uses his powers, makes her forgive Eugene. And he doesn't even really understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it may tie in a way, too, that, like, we don't know what happened with the daughter or why she's in a coma, but it could be some traumatic thing about, like, maybe she even saw him try to kill himself and it, like, fucked her up. We don't know.
Well, either that or he put her in the bed and then tried to kill himself, something like that. They're obviously not going with the reason why he shot himself in the comics. In the comics, he was just a Nirvana fan, so once Kurt Cobain sucked on the end of a shotgun, he decided to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then Odin Quincannon. So the previous episode, the mayor was trying to get him to meet with these Green Acres folks and kind of come with a deal, and it's a deal that he literally pissed on. And
he peed in the briefcase. Yeah. That was really funny.
So after preachers made him serve God, now he's this happy, plucky-go-lucky guy, and he calls the mayor and tries to get back into good graces with him. And I think the guy's name is Donnie, the guy that works for him, that the preacher beat up in the pilot, has no idea what the hell's going on. He just knows that everybody that Jesse ends up talking to ends up changing.
Yeah, well, he definitely looks at him kind of weird because, what's the guy's name? The Odin Quincannon, whatever. So he, like you said, he pissed in these people's briefcase earlier, and so now they got Donnie sitting in the room with the people, and he's kind of like, what's going on? When did you see Preacher? And so he's got a lot of suspicions as to what.
And he goes and he tries to tell his wife. So in the pilot, you were made to believe that he was like this abusive, powerful force in his house, I guess.
Yeah, almost
and then,
like a drunk dad, because the little boy's just afraid of him and asks for help.
And then in the scene where he tries telling his wife kind of turns the tables, and it's almost like she's the one who's wearing the pants.
Yeah, it's hard to grasp.
Something's going to be going on with them eventually. And then Cassidy and Tulip have a weird little hookup. So Cassidy pretty much tells Tulip that he's smitten with her, and then she more or less is going to start probably using him to get back at Jesse or to manipulate Jesse into coming back to her. So they end up having a little bit of a hookup, which is strange because them having any kind of feelings towards each other is something that doesn't happen until way, way later.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you've read the comics, so you understand from that point, but from my point, it's just kind of like, okay, so it happened after she saved him, and, now she knows he's a vampire, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's weird, because, he always shows weird things going on that, anybody would think is vampire, but nobody has said vampire yet, so it's almost like they're playing into it like nobody really believes him yet, because even Jesse, when he's like, hey man, I'm a vampire, he just kind of dismisses it like, yeah, whatever, dude.
I know, but Tulip saw him in the hospital in the blood bank drinking the blood and saw that he was healed right away. So
yeah,
I mean, come on, you can't be that dumb.
Yeah. And then Fiora and DeBlanc, so they're the two of the angels. They spent
dumbest angels.
Yeah, they're like the F squad.
Yeah.
They spend the whole episode just debating on how they're going to answer this phone from heaven.
They have a nice little script scene in the hotel room where they're
yeah.
He's like, okay, well, no, not like that. You sound like something's wrong. You sound like you're asking a question. No, don't like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's really funny with them.
They're still kind of trotting along at a really, really weirdly slow pace with this show. There's a lot of funny things that happen here and there, but even with this episode, it seems like they're just tiptoeing to getting to the point.
Yeah, well, I mean, in this episode, we learn a lot. I mean, even with the two angels, they talk about how, they've got the coffee can and it holds whatever's inside of Jesse. They still won't say really what it is, but I feel like we learned a lot in episode 5.
Starting to get there. So a lot of the information and the answers really start coming with episode 6, which is titled Sundowner. So in this episode, opens up with this huge hotel fight scene. So you got the two angels, Fiora and DeBlanc, and you have Jesse. After they've explained to Jesse in this diner that what's inside of him is called Genesis, and it's the product of an angel and a demon mating. And they're trying to tell him, hey, you got to give it to us. You got to put it back in this coffee can. And Jesse pretty much refuses and just says, I'm just going to keep doing this.
Well, and his thing is too is like, okay, well, if it's so important and it's such a high priority, then how did it get out?
How do you let it go?
Yeah, exactly.
So then this you enter this seraphim angel, who is like the upper level angel, comes in and tries to kill Jesse. And it has this huge hotel fight scene between the two angels, Jesse, and this seraphim angel. And every time one of the 3 angels dies, their body drops, and then they just magically appear somewhere else in the hotel. So then by the end of the fight, there's like 36 bodies just lining the floor.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really funny. When she comes in, she's not really looking for Jesse. She comes in looking for the other 2 angels because they've gone AWOL from heaven or whatever, and so she tries to kill them, and they kill her in the parking lot, and Jesse's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? So it's really
and then she
funny.
just pops up behind him again.
Yeah, and it's really funny to watch them try to get away from her, because it's like, okay, the only way you can to get rid of her is to kind of subdue her so she can't do anything. So like they're trying to tie her up, and then Cassidy comes in when they've almost got her done and kills her, so it's really funny.
Yeah, they got her choking her out, and then he just shoots her in the foot, and they're like, damn it! And then
not this again.
So that scene, from the pilot till now, that scene is the most like the comic book. Like, that crazy dark humor is in every page of the books.
Well,
so.
I mean, I feel like that that's kind of been one of my favorite parts of the show so far. It really sucked me in, and it's kind of like, okay, normally this show, like you say, how it trots along really slowly, but that scene was very humorous to me, and I was like, although all they're doing is killing each other and it's regenerating back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it's really, really funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have that, and then the episode moves on, and Jesse's still kind of like the rock star of the town. And we start to see more of Eugene after he's been told to be forgiven, or Jesse has made some people forgive him, and it almost sets it up where like these kids want to hang out with him in school and sit next to him, and you almost think it's going to go down that path where they're just playing him and making him think that he's going to be friends, and they're
like
going to end
really
up
cruel joke.
Yeah, and then what it turns out being is that all this weird change makes Eugene kind of have an epiphany, and towards the end of the episode, he kind of confronts Jesse and tells him that you can't, you're cheating. You can't just tell people to make a change. You have to let them choose for themselves, otherwise it doesn't count.
Yeah, he's trying to tell him that's what it's all about. And I kind of feel like through Arseface, even though he's such a controversial character, because he's tried to kill himself, but here he is, no matter what, always going to church and trying to help people and praying for people, and I guess trying to right the wrong that he's done. So I don't know. Feels bad.
Yeah, and then they had a little bit of an exchange between Tulip and Emily, and Emily's the organist at the church, where Tulip is starting to get hints that Emily wants Jesse and wants a relationship with him, so she kind of storms in and tells her to stay away, and then Emily comes out and she just bangs on the car window and she's like, "You broke my kid's art thing."
Yeah, because Tulip goes in and then throws something at the wall and she's "Stay away from my boyfriend."
So then Tulip feels bad and comes in, and then she starts helping her with all of her church duties.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, I guess that's how girls are. We bond over one of us being the crazy one. And she's like, okay, well, I know that Emily's at home with her daughter because her daughter's sick, and Tulip's barged in, kind of making a big scene. And I guess it's when Tulip finally sees Emily. Doesn't seem like she's like the home wrecker anymore, even though Tulip and Jesse aren't together. She sees her as like, okay, well, she's the mom, and she helps out at this church, and it looks like she's got a little too much on her plate right now. So Tulip offers help, whether she can watch the kid or help out with the church stuff, and Emily feels best. Okay, well, I guess you can't really screw up the church stuff, and has her help in there. So it's kind of like a love triangle, I guess, between her. I guess a love square if you want to add Cassidy in.
Yeah.
So.
And then And then towards the end, at the very end of the episode too, like we already talked about, Arseface was kind of confronting Jesse. Jesse kind of shows a power, well, maybe shows a power. We don't know exactly what happened yet, but the way they portray it is that he's got a power that he really never showed in the comics. And he gets pissed off and he tells Arseface to go to hell, and then turns around and he's gone. So we don't know if he got condemned to hell or if some other weird things happened to him, but poor Arseface is gone for the moment.
Yeah, got the little bulletin, and he's talking with Preacher, and that's when he's like, you shouldn't do that, you need to let people make their own decisions type of thing. And then all of a sudden Jesse gets really mad, and he's like, go to hell. And you see the bulletin drop to the floor, and I mean, you don't know what's going on, but you figure, okay, well, he couldn't have ran anywhere.
Yeah, as far as Jesse and the Angels, this is definitely my favorite episode. It's come out since the pilot. Everybody else kind of took a back seat for this one, but even after that great scene at the beginning, the episode really just kind of went back to its slow pace again. So what did you think of the episode overall?
I liked it. I kind of agree with you in the fact how you say it. It's going towards something different, but in the same way, in this last episode, we see Jesse setting up a bunch of chairs outside. So not only is the church itself supposed to be packed, but the rest of it, you're seeing him in town, and people are saying, hey, we'll see you at church on Sunday, Preacher. So I kind of feel like it might even open it up to where the whole season, it might even move into some of the next season as far as like the people in the church, because you're getting little glimpses, I think, in the 5th episode, we saw Jesse sitting at a table with a whole bunch of teenagers. So he's clicking with a bunch of different people. I feel like he's opening up a lot, and I'm not sure if that's going to be the end of it. But overall, I mean, I liked it. I think the 6th episode is definitely what caught my attention as far as the humor in it, and I guess just learning what's going on still.
Mm-hmm. I got a bit of a theory with what's going to happen. So anybody that might want to be staying away from spoilers can go ahead and click off now. But I got a feeling. See, in the beginning of the comic book, it starts with his, like, once Genesis goes into his body, his church is full with people, and once it hits him, it implodes everybody else in the church, so the whole town dies in 1 second. And then the rest of the story's on the road. So I got a feeling what they're doing, instead of doing that in the pilot where everybody just blows up, they're going to be building up this whole season to an event like that, where, like, they showed this little, possibly one of his powers where he can just condemn somebody to hell or make them disappear. So I'm thinking something's going to happen where, his church is slowly building up, and he's getting more people and more people and more people. And towards the end, or at the end, he's going to have so many people there towards almost the whole town, and he's going to end up just getting pissed off at everybody and either scream something to condemn everybody to hell, or scream something and everybody explodes, and they're going to end the season on the opening of the comic book. And then from there, they might carry on to do the story of the comic book a little bit more closely, starting with season 2.
I don't know about that, though, because, I mean, especially with Tulip and Emily being friends now and Cassidy living in the church, I feel like if they did something like that, they'd either have to send all of them out on errands so that they don't blow up,
well, Cassidy and Tulip wouldn't be in the church. They would just be, like, they're doing something else.
Well, Cassidy's always there, though.
Probably fucking in a cab again. But
it's like, well, Cassidy's always there. It's like where he lives. And with Tulip and him and, Jesse and their little love triangle or love square with Emily, whatever you want to say, I don't know. I think you might be wrong on that one.
I don't know. We'll have to see. This is episode 6, and there's only 4 more. So they're starting to pick up again with the hotel scenes. I'm hoping we get some more of that stuff in the coming episodes.
Son of a preacher.